only one.
It is okay to question. There is no right answer. And don't be so afraid of questioning and then deciding that you're straight and cis that you don't begin the process. You have the right to explore yourself, and you don't have to justify or prove yourself to anyone. This is about you and understanding yourself better. This is for you. You don't owe anyone an easy explanation for who you are, and you are entitled to all of your beautiful complexities. And you have your whole life to understand how you experience the world, so it's okay if there isn't an easy answer.
I think the biggest change that has happened in my life, at least the most important change, and I've made a lot of changes over the last year, but I think the biggest one in my life so far has been coming out and accepting myself as a bisexual woman and letting myself feel anger towards the wrongs that are done to myself, sure, but to other women and to the bisexual community as a whole and to the gay community as a whole, and to everyone that is just regularly marginalized. That's the most important change I've made, was coming out. So to a younger self that didn't exactly know who she was and didn't know what she wanted to be seen as, I would say, like, don't worry. Obviously, lots of people have reason to fear for being who they are. But I don't know, coming out to me was so easy, and when it actually happened, it was so easy. And for years and years and years in high school, and just my young kid self, I thought it would be the biggest deal. It was just this thing that weighed on me, and I didn't even realize it was so heavy. To just not sweat it, and to be unapologetic, and to be brave.
A lot of people fight with each other. Like, I don't know about what. I just see a lot of fighting on like Tumblr and shit. I was like,
gatekeeping or
I don't know. It's like some people are like more accepting than others, and it's just like, if they're queer, they're here. Like, you can't block out some like sexualities and like accept others, and like, I don't know, like some people don't accept like asexual people, some people don't accept like bi people, and that, and it's just like it don't make sense. So
I think that the queer community can cannibalize at times. I understand that gatekeeping is done in an effort to kind of keep people's identities from being watered down. But I think that in doing so, we've set more hoops for queer people to jump through than they already do, just to be accepted by their own community. I think that people have the right to figure out who they are, and they're allowed to be wrong, and they're allowed to change their minds. And trying on labels to see what fits and what feels right is a really important part of that process. At least it was for me. And so I guess to me, gatekeeping feels like it's shutting down the conversation and it's stagnating growth.
The biggest thing that affects me personally is, like I said, about how people are so willing to snatch onto bisexual characters and make them homosexual. I hesitate to use the word gay because gay is often an umbrella term. I think I already talked about that. But is to kind of take them for their own, which I like I said, I see the appeal in, but I think that's the boys need representation too. A lot of that's another thing that bothers me, is that a lot of lesbian women have this like phobia of bisexual women who like men, which is kind of the thing. So they're like, oh, if you've ever touched another man, or if you talk about men, like, you're gross to them. And it's just a lot of misandry. But it's like they only want to accept who they're willing to acknowledge us as, which is not bisexual. They want to, and I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, that's, as a bisexual woman, that's a big problem I have with the gay community. Not that I am with it any less because of these problems that we face. I hope we can overcome them together. We are only stronger together, and we as a community, and I think this can be said for any community. I'm sorry, I keep adjusting and getting close to the camera, but I think this can be said for any community, that we are only as strong as our most marginalized group. So that's the best thing we can do, is bring each other up. And I don't think that happens enough, but I'm all about being part of the change that makes that more.
I don't really tell people unless I know them, because like, first of all, it's not really any of their business, and I don't know, I just have a lot of like paranoia and anxiety, so I'm just like, like, I don't know.
So it doesn't really influence because you don't share unless you're close.
And like, if I'm near like religious or like really religious people, obviously I'm gonna keep my damn mouth shut.
I grew up in a very conservative, Baptist, Republican, very religious household, and that's where my background comes from. So my religious background specifically has left me with a lot of internalized homophobia, and it comes with really good intentions, but it's really harmful. It has left this big fear that I'm faking it, or that I'm like choosing to be queer, that I'm a sinner, that I should be straight, that would be better for me, that I'm a problem to be fixed. My mom and I have had a conversation about religion and how being gay might not be a choice, but if it isn't, then you shouldn't act on it, because it's better to be alone than to be gay. I think sometimes I tend to really try to convince myself and convince other people that I'm like the right kind of queer.
I hate to say that I have it easy. I mean, lucky me, right? I'm not religious. My family's not religious, so that was never a problem I had coming to terms with God, although I know many, many queer people who do have a relationship with their divine power of choice. So fear not, ladies and gentlemen, if you are in that boat, because I know a lot of people do it with great success. I'm white, so things are just kind of generally easy for me. Because I would say that by far the most marginalized, I don't want to make assumptions, but like, I would say a large marginalized group is bisexual black women, or bisexual women of color in general, because it's just like, bisexuals are, by far marginalized in the gay community, and then of course, like, you have to deal with the double oppression of race on top of that, so that fucking sucks. Like, I'm sorry, I keep cursing. So I'd say that my sexual identity comes before my racial identity, my ethnicity, my religion, because those things, I'm not oppressed in those ways at all. I mean, I don't think you can say that atheists are like oppressed. Like, who gives a shit? Except for like the whole separation of church and state thing. But yeah, I would say because my sexuality gives me the most I don't want to say struggle, like the most to fight for, that comes before all other identities that I have, except, you know, the identity as like a friend, a aunt, a writer, blah, 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 in which I think those things intermingle.
Yo, no, Clem being bi, that made my whole night when I
Colombian
saw that.
bi?
Clem.
Oh,
being
Clem and bi. I think
That's
Colombian bi is like, what?
That's like,
Clem and bi. Me found out that Clem from the Walking Dead game is bisexual.
that made my whole night. My whole year. Because, like, you know, I've stan Clem since the beginning, since I was, like, 12 watching this shit. Like, you know, and now that I'm, like, growing up with her, and then she's like, hey, yo, I'm bi. I'm like, hey, let's get it. Which is great.
Plus, you're both women of color.
Yeah. And, like, it's like, we have the same
frame.
taste. We have the same taste, man.
And Lewis.
Yeah.
And Lewis
I'm
and bi.
Violet, too. Yeah, I was like, okay, I see you, Clem. I see you out.
I think my favorite Pride memory is I was at a wedding. I was presenting very masculine, and this man who I had met a couple times before, but he had only ever met me presenting feminine, comes up to me and he says stuff like, "Oh, hello, young man, and you look very handsome today. What a strong young man you've become and turned into." And I'm just like beaming that this man has unintentionally, without knowing my queerness, like identified me as a man. And I was so great. Later, my dad, I guess, told him, "Oh no, that's my daughter." And he came back and was like very apologetic. And I was like, "No, please, it was great. I loved it. Thank you. You made my night." That was really fun. If not that, then the first time that my boyfriend called me hubby or boyfriend or handsome, stuff like that. Having your gender affirmed is really fun. So I think those are my favorite Pride memories.
I have not gone to a Pride since I've come out, which sucks. I really want to. I have only gotten to one Pride before, and I come from like this not really a rinky-dink town in South Florida, but it's kind of like a redneck, and like, it's fine, so it's very small, and I went to support my best friend who had recently before that come out to me, not to her family, as bisexual, and I was there to support her. And at that point, I knew that I was bi, but I wasn't out to, I didn't say a thing to anyone. So I told people, my family made fun of me, blah, 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 like made jokes about me being gay, or like assumed I was gay because I was going to the Pride. But I had to tell everyone that I was a straight ally when they asked. And I don't know, something about that was just like, I don't know, it didn't feel right. It was probably every other time that people would say I was bi, because like I said, it happened a lot for some reason. I don't know what kind of vibe I give off. But every other time people would assume I was bi or make a joke about me being bi, I would kind of laugh it off. I would make a joke back, and that's easy to do. But at this festival, I had to look in the eyes of my best friend, in the eyes of my parents, my sisters, in the eyes of other queer people, other bisexual people, and deny this big part of myself that I was just coming to terms with, and tell them, no, I'm sorry, I'm straight, because I was, I don't know, afraid, confused, because I was a teenager. I don't know. So that's not my favorite Pride memory, but it's my only Pride memory, and I hope to make some new ones, hopefully better ones.